Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over a new tier list for you. Now, this is not going to be a strength tier list. I'm going to save that for whenever they release a new killer. I'm just going to do a new strength tier list every time they release a new killer. I figure it's going to be easier on me that way. Anyways, we're going to be going over a killer salt tier list. Now, the way we're doing this tier list is we're ranking the killers based on how good are they at getting survivor salt. So if you want to know which killers survivors really do not like or will most likely to get mad at whenever they come against it, this is going to be the tier list. So, and you could use this to, like, if you want to find a killer that is not very controversial, not a very controversial pick, you can use it for that. Or if you want to be uh, a big troll, this is also for you. With that said, let's get started. We're gonna go from oldest to newest, starting with Trapper. We have 5 tiers. We have maximum salt. These are gonna get you the best results whenever it comes to salt. Moderate salt, you get like still a fairly large amount, but not as much as max salt. Medium salt, you get the picture. Low salt, like they'll be a little salty, a little bit sour, but not too mad. And then no salt, like safest, least controversial picks. Starting with Trapper, I would say you'd probably get a low amount of salt. Because I wouldn't say he would get 0 salt, but he definitely would get not very much salt. Trapper is overall a very weak killer, very easy to counter. There's not really much to get mad at, aside from maybe you camping in the basement. Stereotypes can also come into play whenever it comes to affecting killer salt as well, so keep that in mind. Next up, we have Wraith. Wraith, I would say you would get a medium amount of salt. Wraith, they have the stereotype of a controversial stereotype of being hard tunnelers, and also commonly like to use Noed, which is a very unpopular perk for the survivor. It's a very well hated perk from the survivors. They despise that perk, even though it's not really that great. Kind of overrated. Next up, we have Billy. I would say 0 salt. Everyone likes Billy. Survivors love Billy. You're not gonna really get any salt from a Billy match. Nurse, easily max salt. He's the strongest killer in the game. Most of the time, unless you're prepped for it, you absolutely stand no chance against a good nurse. People don't like facing nurse because most of the time, there's not really much you can do. So that's why nurse is going up there. And also the fact that people see her as, the Sweatlord tryhard character. And people also view sweating and like tryharding in this game as a downside, even though it really isn't, but whatever. Michael Myers, I would say medium amount of salt. This is not like in any particular order with within the tiers. There's no particular order. Michael Myers would definitely be in medium salt. I would say medium and not moderate. Because mainly it's only really Tombstone piece that people have a problem with. Other than that, nobody has a problem with it. They only they only get salty when you pull out the Tombstone or the Infinite Tier 3 Myers. When you start to use these really strong and busted add-ons, that's when you get the salt, but if you're not using those, you're not going to get any kind of salt. Hag, I would say, is a moderate amount. Because hags have the stereotype of placing all their fucking traps on the in front of the hook. They're like really bad campers, and survivors, they despise camping. And most people find hag boring to face, so there's that as well. Doctor, I would say you would get a moderate amount of salt. I wouldn't say max salt, although it's pretty close to max. But you definitely get a moderate amount of salt due to the fact that the average survivor, they have absolutely zero clue on how to deal with Doctor's power, and it frustrates the hell out of them. They don't know how to like deal with the shock therapy attack, and it's also frustrating due to him having a built-in tracking tool, which survivors like to hide are gonna absolutely despise. So yeah, he's gonna be up there. Huntress, I would say, is a low amount of salt. Low to medium. If you want to put him in medium, that's fine with me. But I would say more towards low. Huntress is a very popular and, for the most part, well-liked character. They did recently get a buff that was fairly controversial. But other than that, Huntress is mostly seen as very fair in the eyes of people, so they don't really get as frustrated. Bubba, I would say moderate to max. I would lean more towards max salt due to the whole Bubba basement camp equals kill equals good stereotype, where like they camp the basement with Insidious and whatnot. Most people see Bubba as the basement camping dude, and they hate it. I personally love the playstyle, both as a survivor and a killer. I just think it's funny. Most people won't see it as that. Most people will think you're being hella toxic, which you kind of are, but it's still funny though. Freddy, I would say no salt. Freddy is an absolute garbage killer. Nobody ever plays Freddy very... Nobody really plays Freddy. He has a very low pick rate. And, actually, no, I wouldn't say low salt. I would say medium, low, I would say low salt. Due to the fact that people think Freddy's boring to face, but mostly is fine with it because he's very easy to deal with. But they absolutely hate whenever you tunnel, and they expect you to tunnel as Freddy. Pig, I would say a moderate amount of salt. Due to how reverse bear traps are. Mainly due to reverse bear traps. The ambush, they don't really give a shit. It's the reverse bear traps. They don't like having to go around searching boxes. They also hate that certain pigs will just play super passively, like put reverse bear traps and try and force a head pop. They'll definitely not like that, and they'll expect you to do that. So I would say moderate amount of salt. Clown, I would put him moderate amount of salt, mainly due to the blur effect that survivors get whenever they're in pink balls, giving a motion sickness. But I would say it's more of a medium. Yeah, bumped down to medium. Because they fixed that. Like, he's a very good anti-loop killer. Anti-loop killers, most survivors, they don't really like dealing with these anti-loop killers where you place the thing in the loop and you run around it. They think it's very boring. I personally, depending on the killer, I don't think it's that boring. But whatever. Spirit, max salt. Easy max salt. Due to the way, because of the way Spirit's power works, it makes it very difficult for the average survivor to counter, and that's very frustrating for them. So yeah, and due to the fact that she has some busted add-ons, some insanely busted add-ons, like the mother-daughter ring, for example. But yeah, that's also going to be going up there. Legion, I would say, should I put him in moderate or max? I'll put him in max. I'll put him in max. Two words that will strike PTSD in any survivor main. Mending simulator. I hate the playstyle Legion where they run and stab someone and run across the map to stab someone else. They don't like that Legions don't chase. They don't like the playstyle of Legion. They think it's very annoying and frustrating. So they definitely don't like it. Plague, I would say, is moderate due to completely shutting down any kind of healing whatsoever. And survivors, and considering like one of the top 10 most used survivor perks is self-care, it kind of just speaks for itself, does it? Ghostface, I would say, would be a medium amount. Not a large amount, but a medium amount. Due to the reveal mechanics, as well as some ghost faces being hella toxic with the teabagging in their eyes. It Most people don't like ghost faces because of that. So yeah, he's gonna be going up a medium. Demo, no salt. Demo is the most, by far, one of the most beloved characters. He's easily the most balanced killer in the game. Everyone loves him. Absolutely no one and despises Demo. Oni, I would say, is a moderate amount. I would say moderate. Mainly due to the them constantly keeping people injured. Actually, no, I'm gonna put him down to medium. Because he does work like more like Billy, and people find Billy fun, but no, he's nowhere near as fun to go against for some survivors. So I'm gonna put him at medium. Death Slinger, I would say definitely moderate. 100% moderate. People find Slinger annoying as shit. As a Slinger main, I've gotten quite a bit of salt on Slinger. If you want a ranged killer that could get you a decent amount of salt, Slinger's your man. Mainly because they don't like the whole quick scoping thing that most slingers like to do. I think his projectile is kind of bullshit. So yeah, he's gonna go up in moderate. Pyramid Head, I would say medium, mainly due to the fact that most people don't really know any Pyramid Head mains. They don't know what Med Hanes they don't know what Pyramid Head mains are like. Actually, no, I would say moderate. Mainly because they don't like the M2 cancel fake maneuver. Even though it's really good for mind games. They don't like that. They also don't like the cages. 100% they don't like the cages because it bypasses their anti-tunnel perks. Next up, Blight. Easy max salt. People despise going against Blight because Blights, just like the nurse, are also seen as tryhards. And they find Blight extremely frustrating to go against, especially when he has some broken add-ons. Oh, they'll absolutely hate you for doing that. Twins, I would say, is moderate, mainly due to the whole slugging playstyle that they promote. And uh, survivors find that pretty damn boring. So, yeah. They've been, I think they probably have been getting a lot more people playing twins ever since they buffed them. I wouldn't know. I haven't played the new patch yet. So I wouldn't know. I've been kind of busy with other things. So let me know in the comments if you've been seeing a lot more twins players. All right, next up we have Trickster. He is going to be, I would say, max salt. Mainly due to the fact of how his knives work, with you just rapid fire knives and just zoning. Survivors absolutely despise zoning killers in this game. They don't like that there are killers in the game that can be able to catch you really quickly in the open. And that is very frustrating for them. I know it can be frustrating, but trust me, it's not really that bad. So long as you don't let it get to you, it's fine. Nemi, I would say medium. I know they have like they do while they do have like the reputation of being hardcore tunnelers. Uh, most people find it funny, and they don't really get that mad. Most people think it's funny rather than frustrating. I'm only putting them in mediums, sold because of the zombies. They get if the zombies are, actually doing their fucking job, they can be annoying as shit for the survivors. Next up, Pinhead, easy max salt. Pinhead, I would say, is one of the best killers to farm salt with. Because most people, they can't, because most people are solo queue, most people can't coordinate the box very well. And they don't like having to deal with chain hunts and being bound by chains to slow them down. They absolutely hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. And if you're running engineers thing, oh damn, they're going to despise you. They'll fucking send a curse on your family and next of kin if you're running engineers fang. Oh damn. All right, next up, artist I would say is moderate. I wouldn't say max, mainly because artist for people it's more boring than frustrating. Mainly because she's mostly just place bird and loop and you run away, with some occasionally trying to go for snipes. That's how most people play artist anyway. At least the artists I've played against anyway. And it can be moderately infuriating, but mostly boring. Next up, Onryo. I would say Onryo is pretty good at getting salt. Actually no, moderate. If it was pre uh pre rework Onryu, the one where you like uh condemn everyone on the map with one teleport, then yeah, this would be bumped up to max. But since they tone that shit down, it's now more moderate. Tapes are a frustrating mechanic. They don't like being one shot killed uh with without getting hooked with the condemns. I think it's frustrating and it's boring. And yeah. I guess you could definitely start to see a trend with these killers. You could start to see a bit of a trend with like the frustration levels of certain killer powers. Next up, we have Dredge. I would say Dredge is more low salt, mainly because Dredge is bad. He does have a zoning power, but it's kind of easy to avoid. And there's, I would say low salt and not no salt, mainly because Nightfall. Yeah. Next up, we have Wesker. I would say Wesker is perfect for the moderate salt, mainly because of the fact that a lot of people play Wesker. People are more frustrated with the fact that Wesker uh is played a lot and not all these other killers. And there's also some that get frustrated with the whole Ouroboros mechanic. Next up, we have Knight. I would say Knight is a max salt. I used to main Knight for a bit, and I got a pretty decent amount of salt, especially some TTB salt. Oh man, I the way I play Knight, I got a lot of TTB salt. He's very good at getting salt. And following up right behind him, Skull Merchant. If I would have to pick a killer that could easily reap the maximum amount of salt, I would say Skull Merchant. Easily. I'm gonna put him like right here just to emphasize the no. Actually, I got a better idea. Hold on. Add row above. Uh Skull Merch. Yeah. I've created a new tier for him. Skull Merchant. Just to emphasize the point, Skull Merchant is by far the most hated killer in the entire fucking game. Easily the most hated. She's already got off to a bad start when it seemed like we were gonna aim to get a cyborg killer, but instead we got Skull Merchant. Everyone was super disappointed. They also disliked her base character design, as she looked like something ripped straight out of Fortnite. And then there was also the fact that the most frustrating part about her was her power and her ability to 3-gen, which became super fucking boring and earned her an infamous reputation as the most hated, most boring killer to face in DBD. And one of the worst designed killers. They did rework them so that they're more chase oriented. They still get massive amounts of hate, to the point where some people take it so far as to harass the people who main the killer, which I definitely don't condone. While I am definitely a big Skull Merchant hater as a killer main, I don't think you should go as far as to harass the people who main Skull Merchant. That's taking it too far, you know? Hate the character, not the people who play it. Alright? Okay, next up we have Singularity. I would say this is more moderate salt, but not really salt for the survivor, but more salt for the killer, I would say. Mainly because he's so hard to play. And you have to work so much for you know, okay reward. So yeah. I would say next up, Xenomorph. I would put him in moderate salt as well. Mainly due to the fact that he has his teleport that he can be able to access whenever the fuck he wants. Well, the most frustrating part about him is easily the tail attack. They absolutely despise the tail attack. They don't like how hard it can be to dodge sometimes because it can be a bit quiet for some people. Yeah, that's gonna go up there. Actually, I changed my mind on Dredge. I'm putting him up in medium tier because I just remembered people who play on TVs. When nightfall hits and you're playing on a TV, you can't see shit. And it's super bad. And it's super frustrating for those people. Alright, next up we have Chucky. Chucky is max salt, of course. People often say that Chucky is very brainless and takes no skill. Those are like the common complaints with Chucky. And, you know, I could see the arguments for that. But he does take some skill. You have to kind of learn how the slice and dice works. What's the appropriate range to enter Heidi Ho mode to get good sneak attacks. And then there's also some of the flicks you can do with Chucky. While they did remove some of the flicks, you still can still can do some flicks. Like there's this window flick that I got really good at that I think you could still do. Last I checked, you can still do it where like you vault a window while slicing dicing, move your camera slightly, and then flick straight down. And you could be able to just go sideways with it. And I think that's pretty cool. But maybe that's just me. I have like a personal bias with Chucky. I absolutely love Chucky. Uh Both as a killer and as a survivor. So I don't know, maybe it's just me. Next up we have the unknown. Um I would say I would have to put the unknown in no salt. Mainly because they're new. And I don't really know people's reactions with it. Actually, I'm gonna put it with low, mainly due to some people being incredibly transphobic after they found out that the person who voiced the killer was trans. So yeah, I'm gonna put it low salt, but mostly no salt, mostly not very much salt since he's fair. Most people just kind of have a meh uh to him. Like they could leave it. They don't really care. They don't really have an opinion of the unknown. And oh yeah, that is basically everything. This is my whole tier list. You know, if there's some killers that you've experienced salt a lot more, here let me know. I would love to hear all kinds of salt stories you got with some of these killers. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Take care, everyone.